She is a ghost.
Her face didn't even change.
My daughter, where have you been?
You may choose. Stay with the spirits, or remain with your people and grow old. I choose life.
Night Amara disappeared, the entire village of Umudike heard her scream. It was not the scream of a girl who had fallen. It was the scream of someone who had seen something that should not exist. The moon had turned red. The wind carried the smell of burning leaves. And the ancient forest behind the village, the forest the elders called the land that eats time, had begun to whisper. Amara was only 16, beautiful, kind, and the only daughter of a poor widow named Mama Ninkem. She had gone into the forest to search for medicinal herbs for her sick mother. She never returned. The villagers searched until dawn. Hunters entered the forest carrying torches. Priests offered sacrifices. The chief sent his strongest men. But all they found was Amara's basket lying beside an ancient iroko tree. Inside the basket was a single white flower. A flower that did not grow anywhere in Umudike. The old priest, Dibia Eze, looked at the flower and immediately dropped it. His hands began to shake. "Heal the forest," he whispered. The villagers stared. "What is it?" the chief asked. Old priest looked toward the dark trees. "The spirits have taken her." Everyone froze. Because according to ancient stories, anyone taken by the spirits never returned. Never. Mama Nkem cried every day. She sat beside her hut every evening, waiting for her daughter. People pitied her. Children avoided her house. And gradually, the village forgot Amara. Years passed. 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Mama Nkem grew old. Her hair became white. Her back bent from sorrow. The chief who ruled when Amara disappeared died. A new chief took his place. Children who had been babies became young adults. The story of the missing girl became nothing more than a tale told around evening fires. Until one market day, the drums suddenly stopped. Women dropped their baskets. Men stood motionless. A young woman was walking slowly toward the village, barefoot, wearing the same blue wrapper Amara had worn 10 years earlier. Her hair was unchanged. Her face was unchanged. Not a single wrinkle, not a single scar. She still looked 16. Exactly 16. The entire market became silent. The woman stopped. She looked around as though she had only been gone for a few hours. "Why is everyone staring at me?" she asked softly. Her voice was Amara's voice. An old woman pushed through the crowd. Mama Nikem. She looked at the girl. Her hands trembled. Tears filled her eyes. "No," she whispered. The girl smiled. "Mother." Mama Nikem collapsed because her daughter had not aged, not even 1 day. The villagers ran. Some screamed that she was a ghost. Others fell to the ground praying. The new chief ordered the guards to stop her. But when the guards touched Amara, they felt warm flesh. She was alive. Very alive. That night, the entire village gathered. The old priest, now nearly 90 years old, stared at her with fear. "Tell us," he said. "Where have you been?" Amara looked confused. "In the forest." "For 10 years, the priest said. She laughed softly. "No." The entire village went silent. "I left this morning." Cold fear spread through the crowd. Mama Nkem began to cry. The old priest's walking stick fell from his hand. Because there was only one explanation. Time had not touched her. The forest had. The chief asked carefully, What happened after you entered the forest? Amara's face slowly changed. For the first time, fear appeared in her eyes. She looked toward the dark forest beyond the village. The wind suddenly began to blow. The fires flickered. Dogs started barking. Then she whispered, "I met a woman beside the river." Nobody moved. She wore white clothes. She told me to follow her. The priest became pale. What else? Amara's voice trembled. She said the village had forgotten its promise. The wind became stronger. Several torches went out. The old priest suddenly fell to his knees because he knew the story. A story buried long ago. A promise made by the ancestors. A debt that had never been paid. Amara looked directly at the priest. Her eyes no longer seemed entirely human. The woman said she would return with me. The crowd turned toward the forest. The trees were moving, but there was no wind inside them, only darkness. Then Amara slowly pointed. At the edge of the forest stood a woman dressed completely in white, watching the village, not moving, not blinking. And beside her stood dozens of silent figures, men, women, children, all wearing ancient clothing. The priest began to scream, "The forgotten ones have returned!" The woman in white smiled. Then Amara spoke the words that made the entire village tremble. She says someone in this village stole what belongs to the dead. Suddenly, the woman in white lifted her hand. One of the shadowy figures stepped forward, and the villagers gasped, because the figure looked exactly like the old priest, except younger and dead. The figure pointed directly at Dibia Eze. The old priest collapsed, his lips trembling, his eyes filled with terror. And before anyone could speak, Amara turned toward him and said, "The spirits want the truth." The old priest began to cry, because the secret he had buried for 50 years had finally returned. And the woman in white slowly started walking toward the village. Like, subscribe,